Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Just Run podcast with me, Reese Morgan.
And me, Nathan Marshall.
It feels like an absolute age since I've been on here, actually. Sorry. So it's been a few weeks, actually, because of family and personal life commitments and everything. So it's great to be back. This week, we're very lucky to have two guests, Liv Brown and Frankie Smyth. So rather than attempt to do two introduction for these ladies, we'll let them do the talking for themselves and just dive straight in, really. So, Liv and Frankie, welcome to the show.
You. Hi, thank you.
Hey guys, yeah, it might be a little bit awkward because obviously we're all on a Zoom call, so we'll do it individually. But just to dive straight in, really, for anyone who doesn't know, do you guys want to just tell us a bit about yourselves first of all? So, at random, Frankie, if you want to go first, obviously just tell us a bit about yourself and the journey that you've been on and going on to and what's coming up and everything. And yeah, just tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Frankie. Day job is an exec assistant for a finance company. But I've recently set up a side business in wellness coaching with the kind of goal of building that up and doing that kind of full time because wellness and self-development and kind of fitness and everything is my passion. Hence the running plays a big part in it. So I've been running for quite a while, probably about like 12, 13 years. And then yeah, first few years just sort of getting into it. And then I started doing events and just got the bug for it and long distance particularly. So I've done a few kind of events here and there, and then obviously in about 10 days is the next big one. So gearing up for that at the minute.
Nice. The one that the reason we're doing this really, we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, definitely the big one. And then over to yourself as well, Liv. So just I will say, Liv, actually, I haven't seen you since the Why We Run
Yeah, exactly.
the meetup. Yeah,
Since I dropped you home, yeah.
yeah, that very
A couple months since then.
it's crazy. I don't even know when that was. I was trying to go to my Instagram and have a look when that was, but
I'm pretty sure it was Easter weekend because I was back in Cardiff. So it tends to be some kind of event like that. So it must have been around then.
you saved my ass because I'd run to meet you and was late and held everyone up, as you all know. And that was 8 or 9 miles. Then we did what I can't remember what it was, just under half marathon, and I just could not be asked to run home. And you very kindly volunteered to take me, so I'll always be very grateful for that. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm sure I stored up some good karma there.
Exactly, you did. Yeah, I owe you a drink or something.
Not me a coffee to
What?
be fair. So we're even. We're even.
Oh, fair enough. There we are then. So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself, Liv. Just
Yeah. So quite similar to Frankie in terms of running, but my day job, I'm an academic researcher, so I'm in public health. So more on the policy side of things, but I look mainly at obesity prevention. And then in terms of running, I've been running probably for about 10 years, kind of started doing longer distance events when I was 20, so about 7 years ago. And then I've been very like on and off. I'm more of a CrossFit person, so I kind of flick in and out of endurance running. But as Frankie said, yeah, the big event for me is in 10 days, which is very exciting slash scary.
Come around so quickly, hasn't it?
So quickly.
So we've obviously got you both on because of what's coming up, and it's the third It's Why We Run, and it's the first time you're both doing it, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how have you actually found being in that community already?
So I love being part of a community, and I think particularly like when you have a group of people who are all so inspiring in their own way and kind of motivating. So I came to the first Why We Run, was the first club run that they did actually at Box Hill back in February. Went along with a couple of friends, and actually knew a few people there, kind of just by chance. I didn't realize they were going to be there, but a few people that I'd done some events with and met sort of through the running world. So yeah, it was really nice, like straight away. There's just, I think runners are just seem to be super friendly. Everyone, I haven't come across anyone who's not friendly or not welcoming. So yeah, I just think super friendly, inspiring and motivating is kind of the energy that I get. And it's nice being part of that and then gearing up for something like this with people who are doing a similar thing.
Yeah.
nice. So do you girls know each other, or is this the first time you would have met as well?
No, first time we've met.
That's crazy. Look, see, this is the world we're in. We're bringing communities together off the back of what you've just said. That's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, looking at, Nate's t-shirt there as well. Nice. One of the reasons you wanted to do this with you ladies was just to know a bit about your background, get to talk to you more, bring it together and stuff, and also talk about this huge thing coming up in 10 days, the Why We Run 3.0 and I mean, Nathan introduced me to this, and we've spoken about it a lot. It just looks like an incredible adventure. For anybody who doesn't know, it's what 250 kilometers through Pembrokeshire and the Welsh Coastal Path. So, how were you both feeling?
I'm nervous, I'm not gonna lie. The nerves have definitely begun to creep in, but I'm kind of going with ignorance is bliss at the moment, and I'm gonna stick to that until day one. I don't know about you, Frankie.
Yeah, I always get nervous for any event I do, whether it's 250 kilometers or just like 5K. I always get nervous for it, but I think that's just because it's like excitement kind of building, and I think when you do something like this, it's that mindset of like, oh God, am I going to be able to do it? Because it's a pretty big thing. But I did a similar kind of event last year in Tanzania, and slightly different, but same distance and stuff. But that kind of experience and the being in the bubble of just running, eating, sleeping, like getting to know other people, I absolutely loved it. So I'm very excited for it. Aside from the nerves of the running part and the hills, I think.
It's only natural. And I mean, you're probably going through that stage right now that we all go through where you're frantically looking online, looking through your cupboard and everything and making sure you're like, oh my God, shit, have I got enough layers? Am I taking the right trainers? Do I need more than one pair of trainers? What socks do I wear? The gels? Oh, do I have enough fluid? Maybe I'll order more. And I can guarantee you that for about a couple of months after you've done this, you'll still have fluid and various gels hanging around your house because you'll order too much, which is the best way to be. But I always talk about, or we always talk about here, about enduring the process because we had Leon Buston on you before, and he said like it's great when you cross a finish line of like a big race, but make sure you enjoy the process because obviously the lead up to it, the training, all the buying and the overspending at the time is very stressful. When it's gone, you miss it. It's a weird little thing. When I did my 100 miler, I was so frustrated, like because I just spent so much time like it's a minefield out there, as you know, with various things. But um, yeah, it's just such a fun thing. It's a mixture of anxiety, nerves, but also super excitement, isn't it, as well? Because you're going to be down there with such an amazing group of people. I mean, Lewis himself, just to be around him it's just a ball of inspiration, isn't he? Did you all see
Yeah.
him in UTMB?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to the club run that they did at Richmond last weekend. So he was like less than a week out from that, and just chatting to him about it and just hearing kind of the details. I was like, wow, like that is another level. But yeah, so inspiring.
It is. It's so cool. And yeah. Oh, yeah. So just to touch, sorry, Frankie, you said you did the 250 in Tanzania as well. I was curious to speak to you about that because in 2026 now, I'm hoping to be the first person to do all of the Ultra X's in 1 year. I mean,
Amazing.
yeah, I was meant to do it next year, 2025. Um, I've spoken to Sam and the co-founders and everything of Ultra X, just so supportive of it. Said their exact words were, if you're crazy enough to do it, we'll support you. So I had a good bit of backing from them, but it's just, yeah, the hardest part about it is the lack of recovery. It's like when you think, for instance, Vegas, when you do 250 there, you got 6 days between that and then flying out to Madeira. And Madeira is apparently one of the hardest ones. Like in the first day, you do the equivalent of Mount Everest in elevation. So it's such a lot to consider that I don't think I gave myself enough time. So yeah, I'm already in training. It'd be a big year next year, and then hopefully 2026 I'll be doing that. And I'm already signed up to Rwanda for January 2026.
Oh,
So
cool. Yeah.
so yeah, it'll be it was I was very interested. I was looking at your posts and stuff like that earlier on, and that looks incredible. But I don't want to come off why we run. That's not what we're talking about. We'll come back to that. So yeah. Nathan, I'm sure you got questions. You've done it. I haven't. So I'll let you ask a couple of questions about that as well.
What's your training been like to for the elevation part of it?
Um, Probably not as much as I should have done. Being honest, I think it's difficult to train for elevation when you don't live in a hilly place. Um, and I'd probably say like my training, I've had kind of a tough few months earlier this year where it was just I was finding juggling like things in life very difficult. So I tried to kind of just keep the training kind of ticking over and just doing what I can, but kind of recognizing where I needed like a break. But fully last couple of months been back into the swing of it. So yeah, just trying to find some hills where I live, Stairmaster and a lot of strength training as well.
Nice. What
Yeah.
about you, Lynn?
Similar, I mean, like in London, training hills is just a lot of hard, like logistical work because they're just not really here. So kind of same, but I did a 50 or 60K ultra in May, which was really hilly. So I'm hoping I've just banked in enough hills during that period to kind of push me through. But I mean, I've got them in as much as I can, but it's definitely going to be one of the things that I'm going to struggle with on the week.
Yeah. I did the
You,
same live when with an event in June, kind of like I was like that, wow, that's enough elevation hopefully to get me through, but far and few between, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
guys, do you guys both do high rocks? Is it or like CrossFit? Is that what you mentioned earlier on?
Yeah, I do love CrossFit. It's probably like my main sport if I was gonna in terms of like time dedication. Obviously
Okay.
that's flipped around at the moment in preparation for week after next. But yeah, I've tried to keep the two going side by side, which sometimes doesn't work and sometimes works delightfully.
Have you
Yeah.
adapted your training like in CrossFit and high rocks and stuff? Like, have you adapted it? Like you said, obviously you're starting to like switch over a little bit in preparation for this, but have you changed? I'm not a CrossFitter or a high rock, so I do like mixing in those sessions because they're solid. Like they just leave you a sweaty mess. But have you adapted that training maybe for like, I don't know, more leg strength ready for the elevation or like more stamina based? Is it anything you've done differently?
Yeah, kind of a combination of both. I mean, I've definitely been a bit more selective about which CrossFit sessions I do, so they are more complementary to the training plan this time. But I enjoy kind of having a bit more of a gassy workout coming from the CrossFit side than doing a speed session running wise. Whether they equate is a whole different situation, but that's kind of one way I've tried to kind of merge the two, and then a lot of legs training, a lot of legs training. That's obviously kind of gone up a little bit over the past month to try and make sure I'm nice and fresh for the day. But in terms of the rest of the year, yeah, it was pretty leg heavy.
So I did my first high rocks at the beginning of the year. So I've always been, I mean, I've done gym stuff alongside my running throughout like the time that I've been running, but running has always been the main focus. So at the end of last year, when I had a bit of a down period from doing long distance stuff, me and my friend did a Manchester high rocks as a double. So it was quite strange having like a completely different like mix up in my training. I really enjoyed it. So I've been keeping it going, kind of more hybrid training. And then we're doing another High Rocks actually at the end of October. So we've been training for that, kind of doing it alongside my ultra training to complement it. But like Liv says, it's it's so difficult to juggle it because you know normally I'm trying to make sure that I'm timing gym sessions around like certain run sessions to make sure my legs are fresh. But when you have like when you're trying to do both, it's it's quite difficult. So lots of tired legs, but I definitely think that it helps. I notice a huge like improvement in my running when I'm doing more strength stuff, and I think it's nice to have a variety. So I'm really enjoying kind of trying to do both as much as I can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
I agree.
injury prevention as well for sure.
I'll
Oh
let you
yeah,
into a little secret. It's not that bad on hills.
I did
Well,
think I didn't want to be the one to say it in case I was wrong.
The longest and steepest hill is as you come out of Aberystwyth by the Blue Lagoon, and the rest is pretty good. You got one proper climb where you're scrambling. Well, two actually, but overall, it's not that bad.
Mm.
he's trying to make you feel better. There's actually 28 climbs. I'm joking. I've never done it.
I don't
I
want to
wouldn't,
know the amount.
I
It's
wouldn't
not
want
that
you
bad.
to. I've never done it. I've never run around there properly. I have, but not to that extent. I think it's one of the more of that thing where it's not that much elevation, but it's just about running every day for 5 days, a lot of mileage consistently, and it's just getting into that mindset of like any multi-day event. It's such a shock to your system because usually you do a big run, then you get home and you maybe have like a massage or you stuff your face full of food and you have a good sleep and you just chill for the rest of the day. Maybe go for a like walk or a little stretch. Whereas this time you're going to be getting up and going again and doing the same thing for 5 days. So it's going to be a massive shock to your system. I mean, not so much for you, Frankie, because you've done it. But then again, do you ever get used to running 250
It's
kilometers?
Recovery's like just looks so different, doesn't it? And I think
Mm.
one thing I was really surprised with, and I'm hoping it's going to be the same with this one, when I did Tanzania, is that it's crazy how much your body just adapts, and each day it just knows that it's getting up and doing it. And by the end, like the last day, I actually kind of felt the strongest I'd felt, which was really a really strange thing. So I'm kind of hoping it will do that. That will be like this again this year because it's like the mindset. I think if you kind of have that strength in the mind, then you just your body just kind of follows along.
Yeah, I think it's massively to do with the strength in your mental ability. I think it's to an extent more mental than physical because I think our bodies will get us over that finish line. But mentally, if that goes, if you just those doubts start to come in and like seep in, I think that's when you start to, everything else kind of follows then, didn't it? I think, but yeah, it's you mentioned about hills and stuff earlier, hills training, and it must be difficult because where we live, we're pretty blessed with hills and stuff like that. I mean, I've moved since we did the Why We Run thing. Live, I'm now up in the valleys, so I literally walk 2 minutes down the street and I'm on a hill. And it's bloody hard. My training is just so much harder than it used to be. But to live like in London, where you have to find one hill and just go up and down it. I mean, we had a guest on a few weeks ago or months ago, great guy called Matt Grills from Australia, and he's out in Japan at the moment. Shout out to Matt. He's about to do a 100 miler in Japan, um, and he has to find like a hill because it's quite flat where he lives, and he runs for like 8 hours up and down this hill to get like thousands and thousands of feet of elevation. And to me, that's harder than running an actual hill out on the mountains because it's just the same. Like it's that mental ability. Um, yeah, is it Surrey would be the closest for you guys? Is that like Surrey Hills? Is that?
Probably. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
in Richmond because it's kind of enough there for me, and it's not too far from where I am. I don't know about you.
I'm like 30 miles south of London, so I'm in Hampshire, which is not far from Surrey, depending on where you go. But yeah, it's pretty much similar though, not too many hills. So I've got a couple nearby me in like a local woods, and I want to just find that one and just do hill training up that, and that's kind of what I do. I know where the hills are. And then in terms if I want to do like a longer hillier route, I actually have to go and look for them or go a bit further afield.
Yeah.
Hmm, that's mad. I also have to shout out to Matt that I just mentioned. I didn't tell you this, Nate, either. Talking about community and everything. So we had him on. We've spoken to him once on the podcast, but me and him have just got on so well since that. I had a package through the post of the day, and he paid like 48 quid or something like that from Australia with this T-shirt in it, which is a limited edition print with Willpower, a really cool clothing brand that he's a ambassador for. A big bag of coffee because he owns two specialty coffee shops, and then like a real nice handwritten note saying something real sweet, like keep being a positive impact in the running community. It was like I've met him once on a podcast, and I hope I'll get to meet him one day in real life. But it just goes to show, like the running community is just so. I've never felt anything like it. It's so supportive. Everyone comes together when you really need it, didn't it? And again, that leads nicely on to the reason you're doing um, the whole thing. Really big moose, like such an amazing charity. Um, would you guys mind talking about, if you're comfortable talking about, why you're doing it and why that means so much to you for Big Moose?
So for me, it was very much motivated because of Big Moose. So my cousin passed away from mental health last year. At the same time, someone else in my family was going through a really severe period. But one thing that they were able to do was go to the Big Moose talks. So as soon as I saw Why We Run last year, I was like, this is the perfect kind of combination of fundraising event, my kind of community as we've spoken to, and also like a proper hardcore challenge for me. That something kind of scared me, and it kind of fitted all of the boxes. So yeah, as soon as I saw it last year, I was like, I'm gonna do that. And that's going to be my fundraiser that I'm going to do for my cousin. So it all kind of came together quite nicely. And he was a big fan of West Wales and Mid Wales, so it feels quite cathartic to be able to do it in that location as well.
It's almost perfect, isn't it? I mean, first of all, really sorry to hear about your loss as well. That's awful, and hope you guys are all doing okay now, as okay as you can, I guess. And doing something like this is almost, yeah, well, in his memory, isn't it? So, what an
Yeah.
amazing challenge.
It's been a really nice process actually in terms of all of it and bringing family together and just having something to aim for and fundraising for a charity that I think is incredible. So that side of it for me has been really lovely already, and I'm sure it's only going to feel better kind of when we're actually on the week and have everyone else around for the same cause.
Yeah, mental health is such a huge topic, isn't it? Are you, I mean, with regards to sport, um, like being active in any sense, like I said, whether it's cross training or running and everything, would you say that that helps? Some people might think it's a stupid question, but I mean, still, I want to ask you: do you think that helps you cope or channel any emotions that you've had following that?
Yeah,
Since
100%. And prior to it, I mean, definitely. I did my first ultra marathon as kind of an obvious coping mechanism last year for when it was all going on. So yeah, it's the combination of one having something that you can control when things are all up in the air and chaotic. When you're doing a training plan, you get that fulfillment when potentially the rest of your life feels completely out of your control. So for me, that was a really big thing. And being around nice people and kind of supportive people, whether that's in the running world or the trail running world specifically, and with CrossFit as well. Those two things are so good for mental health, and just getting out each day, like having a reason to move and do things and not being chained to your desk and all of those things. Yeah, it's a huge, huge thing. And I feel privileged that that is something I enjoy as well, because I think, that makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something actually there about training programs and such. And when you said it, I was thinking, I suppose, when you're that deep in focus with training programs and stuff, it gives you that focus and it gives you that purpose, didn't it? And so instead of your mind drifting off elsewhere and thinking about other things, like it gives you that, yeah, that real focus to move forward.
It's an anchor, which I suppose I hadn't really considered that much before experiencing last year. But yeah, it's an anchor that just keeps you kind of grounded and keeps you within like yourself as well when you're kind of supporting a lot of people. It's like something you're doing for you. So yeah, no, I think all of the different elements of it that come together just are great for mental health and mental well-being.
Yeah. Is the same for yourself, Frankie? I mean, obviously, in terms of, have you worked with big moves before? Is this the first time you're doing it?
Yeah, no, I'd never heard of them before. But obviously hearing the amazing work they do is just incredible. I am like quite fortunate that I haven't had any kind of been affected personally and closely as Liv has with kind of mental health. But I've heard a lot of stories from people, that I'm connected with, or people just kind of strangers that have done, and just hearing their stories and the work that Big Moves do to help, lessen the impact of mental health and support people through those kind of dark times is just something that I am really passionate about getting behind. And I think for me, running has always acted as a bit of therapy for me. And I know that it's, you can't hide behind it, and it's very important to talk about your feelings and things. But I think through every period of my life, whether I have had ups or those slightly downs, I might not have had to kind of reach out to a mental health charity, but definitely I think running has been a huge part of that. And keeping me, it's always been like a constant for me. Just I think as well, having being pushing my limits basically is something that I kind of have always wanted to do. So when I saw that this opportunity came up, the kind of everything together, so the raising money for charity, being around the like-minded community, and then pushing my limits kind of seemed like a great opportunity. And I think as well, I like that this is slightly different to any event that I've done before, because it's not about racing and the medals and everything. It's about the reasons why people are running and the connection, and of course the big part of it, raising money. So yeah, that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
Hmm. I it's funny. It always gets brought up, and it's been a constant trend throughout any of the previous episodes. And I just love like what you're about to do is like one huge therapy session because like everyone's so lovely. Everyone is there for a common purpose. Everyone is there because they want to be. Everyone is there because they're supporting a great charity and they're pushing their limits. And by the end of it, you will be best friends with so many people there that you'll probably continue on for the rest of your life to be build friendships with. And it is, when you think about what therapy is sitting down and talking about things. And you'll be talking about things that you probably wouldn't even tell your best mate that you've known for 30 years. And going up a hill when you're really suffering, that's when it'll come out. And you might even end up having a cry or shedding a tear and hugging it out. But it's just amazing. Like, you can't come away from something like this not feeling better. And that's why it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a huge CrossFit event or something. But I do think that the trail running community and the ultra running community, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, suffering the elements, which you probably will, by the way, because you're in Wales and right on the coast, and then you're alongside each other, so you're all pushing each other and also telling each other stories about your lives. It is just a huge therapy session, and I'm incredibly jealous. Unfortunately, I was not in a financial position to enter it and do it, but I cannot wait for it because even looking at it from afar and seeing the videos and pictures, I'm just going to be buzzing. You just get that, yeah, watching everyone's smiles shining. I can't wait to see it. It's going to
Going
be
back to
incredible.
the weather, this time last year, everyone in the group was saying like, "Oh, have you got your waterproofs? We're gonna need loads of different pairs of shoes, socks, and everything." And I kept on posting, "Bring your factor 50." And they were like, "No, it's Wales. It'll be pissing down." And yeah, I actually caught the sun that week. It was lovely weather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm optimistic about the weather.
yeah, you need sun cream. It's not. It doesn't have to be sunny to burn. Like
Oh, it,
some
it
people,
was it was sunny. It was
yeah, but
sunny.
even if it's not, if it's just cloudy, you've got that breeze coming in from the sea. It's the UV rays. It's amazing that some people to this day will go for hikes and walks and runs when it's just a bit cloudy, but it's quite warm. And I won't burn. It boggles my mind. Honestly, the last thing you want on a 250-kilometer run is heat stroke.
I bet you catch a sun with your light, don't you, in front of you now?
Mate, you can light a cigarette in front of me. I'm a ginger-born boy, mate. I will burn if you light a match in front of me.
You could go
Don't
out in the night and catch a sun.
what's this turning into? Hey, listen. The gingers need to stand together. I need somebody on here to comment and fight Nathan back for me.
Well, I am a very pale person, so I also catch the sun. But I've learned of so many years of like not going out with sun cream that I'm overcautious now. So I'll bring some with me and make sure that I'm creamed up every day.
Well, Nate, I'm going to send you a picture that you can, when you're editing this, you can just pop a picture up right now for everyone to see of a time that I fell asleep on the beach after a few too many to drink and didn't wear any sun cream in Portugal. Because there's a very funny picture of me. I don't know why I even told you that and allowing you to do it, but yeah. Anyway, I just like
Ouch.
to tell. Yeah, it was bad. It was, oh
Sounds
God, it
painful.
was really bad. Um, Sorry, Frankie, I noticed you're and you mentioned at the start as well, wellness coach. So, forgive my ignorance. I obviously know a little bit about it, but for the people who are listening as well, do you mind just telling us a little bit about what you do as a wellness coach and what got you into it?
Yeah, of course. So wellness coaching, and the coaching I do is kind of focusing on holistic health. So it's looking at the whole person, and various components. So, not just physical, but also mental, emotionally, socially, everything that kind of makes up holistic health. So my main thing with the coaching that I do is helping people implement healthy habits and building a sustainable routine, to however that looks like to them, but make the changes that they want to see in their life to essentially improve their well-being. So that could look different for everyone, in terms of what changes that person wants to make. But my focus is, yeah, really on that kind of implementing healthy habits and routines. So I think I qualified earlier this year. I was training for a couple of years, just doing it in my own time alongside work. And it was a few years ago, I was having a bit of a crisis with what on earth am I doing with my life, or like, career wise, I didn't really know where to go. I've never really known what I wanted to do. And I kind of, instead of trying to look for a particular job, I was like, what do I enjoy? What do I, um, what would I like to learn more about? And, thinking about the running side and how I live my life, and that kind of like fitness and wellness and everything, and how into that I was like, oh, I wonder like kind of what things I could learn about that area, and then did a little bit of research and came up with a couple of courses. So I thought, I'll do a certification in wellness coaching, see how I like it. And, if nothing comes of it, then at least I've spent some time learning a bit more about something that I'm interested in. So I did that and then really enjoyed it. Then did the diploma, and then yeah, that consisted of a lot more kind of practical stuff as well as the theory. And then yeah, kind of end of last year, I was close to qualifying, and I was like, I'd love to do this. I just want to help people. I want to bring people together. I want to kind of have an impact on helping people live like a healthier, happier life. So I set up a coaching business called Thrive 365 Coaching. Trying to get that off the ground. It's very difficult to try and do that alongside a very busy work life and also training and everything. And yeah, as an extension of that, I've set up a women's wellness community called the Thrive Tribe. And again, that's kind of very new, and I'm just trying to build it up. But that's again just about bringing people together, making wellness accessible, and kind of having a bit of fun along the way.
Oh, cool. That sounds awesome. I did look on your. I haven't had I clicked on it, but as I said earlier on, I had a million and one things going on as a full time. Well, working as a parent and full time and as a parent. So I'm gonna have a little look at that later because I'm all about that myself. And something you said then that stood out actually was really nice was instead of looking for jobs just for the sake of it, you looked at and thought about what would actually make you happy. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Like we all go on when we're looking for jobs, we all go on these random sites and search full-time jobs in XYZ area, and you're like scrolling through, oh, the wage on that is good. But hey, how often is it that we actually sit down and go, well, hang about, I love running or I love helping people and discussing healthy habits and how to influence their life positively. Why not just pursue that? I think the problem is too many people are scared of it. Like I think, and I'm the same. Like my full time job, I do enjoy. Is it what I've always wanted to do? No, I'm a fraud investigator. It's fun. It's challenging. Um, but ultimately, there's various other aspects and things I'd love to do. But I think sometimes I'd sit down and I think about it, and I'm like, oh, what if I don't make enough money? What if it's too hard to do? And then the minute those what ifs start to come in, I think that's why it's good to have positive people around you and good networks as well, isn't it? Because they can really push you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it, do you, so just to elaborate on holistic and stuff like that, then, so is it like meditation, yoga, that type of thing, or is
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, I don't, in some sessions I could do like meditation in a certain form, but it's kind of, I don't specialize in that or focus on that particularly. It's more about kind of asking the person, where is it that they want to be? What do they want their life to look like? Or the person that they want to be, what does that look like? Okay, where are you now? What's your situation? And then helping them bridge the gap between the two. So, you know, using a kind of, that's like a simple coaching method that I would use. And it's kind of like, okay, so, how do you take the first step? What resources do you have available? What things could help you do that? And then it's just for accountability as well. And I think sometimes when people are getting started with making changes, it's so overwhelming. They don't know where to start, or they don't know how to kind of implement those changes. So I would act as that person to kind of be a cheerleader, but also to ask them those questions to get them thinking about things in a different way. And then to keep them accountable and help motivate them to keep it going, to hopefully then eventually they would get to a place where where they would be able to continue that themselves.
Nice. I was going to put you on the spot, but you kind of just answered the question. I should have stopped
Oh,
you. I
what
was
was
going to
it?
say, in the words of Frankie Smyth, according to you, if you had somebody who approached you about this, with what you're doing as a wellness coach, what like three things, I won't go five or too many in that, would you first of all straight off the bat recommend, like if they're looking to improve their life? According to Frankie Smyth, guys, this is a world exclusive.
So number one, just start small. Like again, I think people just get so carried away with, oh, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do. But I would just always ask the question, what's one thing that you can do that's going to get you closer to where you want to be? Like, don't worry about like using the staircase analogy, which is a favorite of mine, but like don't look at, the whole staircase, just look at the step in front of you. How can you get to that step? Um, or you have put me on the spot. A second one, I would say, um, you know, get clear on exactly what it is that you want, and look at kind of why you want it. I think the why is a massive part of it. You can say, oh, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, but why is that? Is it because you think you should be doing that? Is it because other people around you are doing that? Like, what is it that you want and why? And when you get clear on the why, that becomes kind of that driving force. Um, and third one, kind of look at the people that you surround yourself with. I think just going back to that community and that positivity, I think if you are around people that lift you up and help support, motivate, and encourage you, you're going to be in, so much, you're going to be so much more inspired and motivated to do those things. And that's kind of what I want my women's wellness community to be about. It's that connecting with other people, because when you're trying to make changes, if you're surrounded by like a circle that kind of don't really get it, or they're not really on board with what you're doing, it's really hard to then break away from that. So if you can find a community that are in this to the same things as you, and they're all very like-minded, and I think that's probably why we bond a lot as runners when we do these kind of events, because we're so inspired and motivated by other people, we just want to do better. So yeah, those are my
Are
3 points.
you guys, Liv? Are you did you run like are you part of like a running group or community outside of like do the High Rocks guys get together or CrossFit guys get together, or do you part of a running community?
I'm really bad at committing to something, in all honesty. I think as I put my runs in randomly depending on what work's saying and things like that. So I'm just really bad at being consistent with run clubs. And since moving back to London, I haven't got in the flow of going to one regularly. So at the moment I'm run clubless. But I love
That was hard to say. Run clubless.
I
That's a good name for a run club.
it. It would
The
just be
run clubless run.
me.
Did you
Liv, you,
go on? Sorry.
Liv, you spoke about you work in preventing obesity. I'm guessing that was where Reese was going with this.
Yeah.
Again, so what do you do in that role? And so, like, what's the top things you see to prevent obesity?
Well, I'm in the academic side, so most of my research is looking at how policy interacts with different social groups. So my whole PhD was based on that. And then more recently, I've done a smaller piece of work, which isn't so much about obesity, but it's more about misinformation within the health and fitness space and social media. It's a really, really small research project that I've kind of just been doing out of pure selfish interest. But I'm at the very early stage of analysis with that, so I don't really have any exciting results to talk about. But it's looking at how, as well as, there's obviously so much benefits to the health and fitness space and social media, but there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of manipulation. So that project is just kind of looking at how people are interacting with that side of the health and fitness space. But the two bits of research are very, very different, and they're all population level. So it's not tangible advice, it's more kind of policy advice.
That's interesting though that you link social media to that, because probably going to get a bit of kickback on this now, but the Love Islands and excuse my language, but all that shit, I can't stand it. But anyway, each their own. Love Islands and all this, and also social media. When you said that, then I was thinking, I wonder what, like, say 30 years ago or whatever it was, when that didn't exist, when the Instagrams and all that didn't exist, what the link was like between obesity and training and things like that, and the effect it's had on people's mindset. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to phrase this in an intelligent way, but I'm not an intelligent man, so I can't. It's I'm trying to think how you'd phrase it. Like, do you think there's a link between, or there's got to be a link between, nowadays you got kids, 14, 15, 16 going on social media comparing themselves to Kardashian, for example, I don't know, something like that. Whereas many years ago, they wouldn't have that. They were just left to their own devices. They wouldn't have that kind of manipulative avenue to go down. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
trying to
no,
say?
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. I mean, in terms of there isn't any research in it, not any kind of legitimate academic research. So it's been quite interesting entering that space from my area. But I think it's more about what's happening around kind of disordered eating, whether that be kind of eating disorders with on the anorexic side or with kind of overindulgence or binge eating, that side of things. I think it's more to do with this disordered eating rather than kind of straight up high rates of obesity, because it's far more complex and far more to do with, the environment and what's going on in our food system. But yeah, no, I mean, the impact that social media is having on young people's understandings of physical activity and, diets more generally is going to
Mm.
be substantial, but we just don't really know what kind of impact it's having at this point. But
Mm.
it's interesting. Like it's fun research for me, because it kind of ties my kind of personal interests with my academic work. So it's been good, but early stages.
Interesting topic, though, isn't it? Because also, I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole here, but the effect of social media on mental health, it's got to be huge. It's got to be
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and there's a lot more research on that side of things, and this hopefully this paper will kind of tie into the mental health side of it as well, when it's all completed, because one of the big things everyone's discussing is more to do with what's happening in terms of their engagement in health and fitness and in their mental health, and not being able to achieve goals that they set because the parameters are out of reach, and they're kind of getting misinformed, so they don't really know what's
Mm.
achievable, etc., etc. It's, I mean, yeah, you can get into the biggest of rabbit holes, when you start thinking about it too much.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm enjoying it, but we'll see what kind of comes out.
There's a lot more scope for. I was just thinking then as well. Social media it opens it up to a lot more bullying as well, doesn't it? Like, again, you get keyboard warriors where somebody has to only post one picture, and you get these people that you'll never ever meet in your life that could be from anywhere on the globe, just writing horrible things about you that have never met you, don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
Whereas again, 30, 50 years ago or whatever, you wouldn't be posting those pictures, so you wouldn't be getting that negative response. The only thing you'd be getting is you'd be going to the gym with your best mates and your friends who know you and getting a lot more positive feedback. And
Yeah.
it's a very interesting topic, that is really
And
interesting.
that's been the main thing that has come out in terms of people who are sharing, health and fitness content themselves. And they're not influencers, they're just like myself, everyday people with maybe an open Instagram account. And yeah, every single one of them said that they ended up basically stopping sharing this kind of content because they were just getting harassed by random people who they didn't know.
Such a shame, isn't it? Because I think
But
that's such a positive space. Like,
yeah,
I'm very inspired, like, with like what you guys do and like other people who I look up to or relate to, and it can be such an inspiring place. But then there's just a part of it that isn't so great, and it's like finding that balance, isn't it? And trying to not use it too much, but also use it for and in a way that you want to use it, but it's everywhere. You can't really escape it.
yeah, I think
No.
the reality is there are so many amazing people who are on social media and who are sharing, great advice and great content. But unfortunately, for some people that's then drowned out by the other side of it. So it's so complex and there's so many different things happening within social media. And obviously it's so algorithm dependent. And you can see how people who are potentially looking at quite intense weight loss content are then being bombarded with that kind of content, and that's all they're aware of within the health and fitness space. So yeah, it's hugely complex when you start thinking about what people are actually being exposed to.
Is it?
I'm
And
actually worried because obviously next week I start my job in the gym, and next week I'm also going to start sort of like the program we do in the gym for like a 12-week program. So I'm looking to lose a couple of pounds in that time. I really want to be like really open and sort of like shirt off and stuff at the start, but I'm also really conscious because I haven't done anything since I finished the Welsh Coastal Path, really. So I've put on a bit of timber. So, but I want it to be real. But like, I don't normally give a shit about people on social media like slagging me off, but I'm just really conscious. Is that because
Mm.
of the Love Island effect? Because
Yeah, it is.
I do think that Love Island has put more pressure on men to work out than women. Because on Love Island, the women are all shapes, but the men they're always rips, and I think that's had a negative effect on men. To be honest,
Mm.
but yeah, I
It's
am
just a
dreading it
difficult
next
one.
week.
It's difficult because, like you said, it's the Love Island effect. But it's just what you were saying, Liv. Is it's inevitable. Like, and also, Frankie, it's sad because no matter what you do on social media, like it it could be a really positive force, can't it? Social media, super positive force. Um, but then on the flip side of it, it can be such a horrible, dark, twisted world, and it always makes me laugh because I went to see Ricky Gervais live. I love him as a comedian, and I love the fact that he speaks his mind. And he was talking about when he was a comedian about this, about people who pick out the stupidest things. Like he does a lot for like animals and protecting animals, and gives a lot to charities and stuff. And he wrote a post and was giving money to try and stop and raise awareness for what goes on in I think it's Korea with the dogs and everything. I won't go into detail because it's horrible, but you know what they do with the dogs out there. They literally just barbecue them and stuff. It's awful. And he wrote a post that had a bit of bad language in it, like, "Oh, let's raise money and stop these, excuse my language, cunts, doing this anymore," basically, and raise like a whole bunch of money and awareness for this awesome charity that was going out there and bringing these dogs home and putting them into, healthy families. And then he had a load of backlash because people were like, "I can't believe you use that language. It's so bad. There's kids on you and stuff." And he was like, "That's what you're focusing on. You're focusing on the fact that I said that C word, not the fact that we're trying to raise awareness for something that's really good." I mean, he had millions of other amazing positive comments, but I think it's things like that. You could be doing a post, Nate, about your body and showing your weight loss journey, and it takes one person to turn around and say something remotely negative, and it can put you in a rabbit hole and in a dark place. And people think don't think about the consequences nowadays, and there's a lot more opportunity for people to do that. So yeah, especially like I'm terrified. My boy's 2.5. I'm going to try and keep him off a mobile phone for as long as humanly possible because I don't want his head
Yeah.
to be this horrible. Do you know what I mean? This horrible side of things.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't win because
Mm,
you're trying to post something positive, but and I think it's the point of where you almost have to put things out there in the way that you want to share if you want to have like a positive impact and kind of try and block everything else out. But it's so hard to do because subconsciously, whether you say you care or you don't, we just pick up on those negative things, and then you're constantly thinking about what you're posting instead of then it just becoming like, oh, actually, I really want to share this positive message. You overthink actually about what you're sharing, which is, yeah, it's sad.
it really is. Yeah, do you know what? This is again, it's the controversial subject, but whatever. That's the age we live in. But have you seen the image? This really pissed me off. Of It's going to be really bad. I can't remember her name. I'll have to do a bit of research. But of the famous is a female runner. She's either running like a marathon or an ultra runner. And unfortunately, it was she came on a period. I don't know whether it was during or she'd been on a menstrual cycle just prior. And it showed in the image a little bit of that. There's no way she could get away from it. She's running for a charity. She's doing an amazing thing. And the amount of hate messages and stuff that she had from people all over the world, like, "Oh, why didn't you crop this picture? That's disgusting. Oh my, I can't believe you showed that." I'm like, we don't need to see this shit. And it's like,
It's
what?
real.
It's
That
life.
blows my mind. It's like
Yeah.
half the population like have that. It's
It's
it's a
honestly,
normal thing. Like
yeah,
that's
it's
crazy.
I'll have to try and find it. But I mean, obviously more so for you women, it must be just so frustrating. But I had a proper rant in work with a couple of girls the other day about it because I was just like, how dare they? How
Mm.
dare they? Like, a lot of them were obviously men, pigs, who would just have no idea about life and think that it's
Yeah.
okay to do that. Like,
I,
I know
I
it's a
think
difficult thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I always like look at it like anyone who's sitting behind a keyboard spreading hate for people they don't know and about those kind of things like must have something going on, or like they need to look inwards. It's not about the people that they're slating, it's about them. And obviously like it's hard to, it's easier to say that and be like, oh, just ignore people who write those kind of comments because obviously it gets to people, everyone's human. But yeah, I think those kind of people just they aren't happy in their own lives.
They can't be. They've got to have something missing, haven't
No.
they?
No, people who are better than you will not criticize you. That's the way I look at it. And
Yeah.
I think I'm going to call everyone out if I get shit. I'm going to
Mm.
do a post and call the bastards out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should name and shame.
Yeah.
Go take
Have you
Absolutely.
one
s-
away.
have you seen today that the Welsh women's rugby team are now playing in red shorts for that exact reason?
What?
Yeah, they've changed their white shorts, which from the like the men's kit, and they would be playing in red shorts instead of the white shorts from now on, just to take that like pressure away from them playing.
Mm.
Pretty sure
I,
the Lionesses did that as well. They changed the colour of their shorts just to make themselves feel more relaxed.
Yeah,
Those kind of
I,
issues. Which I get.
little
is
things, isn't
that
it?
is that for the women though? Is that for the team or is that because
Just for
it's
the
so
women.
stupid?
No, just for the women's side.
No, no. I mean, did they? Is that something that they had an influence on that decision, or do you think that's just because of the stupid world that we live in?
No, I think the women have asked for it.
Well, they have
Yeah,
asked for it. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
sorry,
When
Nick. Go on.
the Lionesses changed the colour of their shorts, it was definitely player driven rather than anything from the
Right.
outside.
Okay,
I
that's
don't know
true.
about the WRU stuff. I haven't read about that, but I remember it being. I mean, it was a news article, which felt a bit ridiculous in itself. Um, just changing the colour of shorts, but yeah, it was definitely from the players.
Yeah, I sorry, I thought you meant off the back what you were saying that like somebody had made that decision they'd been made to, but if they've chosen it, then that yeah, okay, sorry, that's different. Yeah, but again, I'll have to. I can't remember. I'm sure you can find it with a simple Google search, but again, the image has just left me. I was livid when I saw it. But I mean, I suppose that's again a deep conversation. But for you ladies, I mean, we've spoken about this with Sophie and Jen. Are they at Why We Run Nath? Actually, are you going to be meeting them, Sophie and Jen?
Yeah, they're both there. Yeah.
Oh, you'll be meeting Sophie and Jen. They're great. In fact, Sophie will probably be doing your KT tape at some point. She's the tape queen. But we've spoken about with them and had a really good conversation about it. And I mean, in what the 10, 13 years and stuff of being in sport and running and stuff like that, um, what have you noticed in terms of the way sport is and the way women are treated in sport? Really, it's a deep question. I know that, but I learned early on in this podcast. We started doing it in January, but I learned that women can't defer their place in a race if they're pregnant, whereas you can defer it if you get an injury. I mean, they're changing it a lot now because of some really amazing female run clubs out there and stuff like that. But I mean, um, what are your experiences in sport and stuff like that, and how does it affect what you do?
I haven't personally had any kind of major negative like experiences. I think I would just say, quite often there are some races where you notice maybe the female field isn't as big. So at some events it's nice to see when that's different. And there's a lot of females, especially in the longer distance kind of ultra world. And like you said about the people who are doing incredible work to kind of improve the presence of females, but also like what that entails. So, for example, it's some races now, most races that I've been to in kind of the toilets, they provide sanitary products now, which is great because that's just like one less thing that you have to worry about if kind of you are caught short or you have an unexpected situation and you know that it's accessible, whereas before that wasn't so such a big thing. So that's kind of one thing yeah I've noticed, but um like nothing too negative. Personally, I just think we've probably got a long way to go in encouraging more females to get into sport for various reasons.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I probably agree. I personally haven't faced any particular challenges related to gender. And I would say over the past like 2 years even, there seems to be a massive uptake of females running and females in kind of normal commercial gyms, in CrossFit, whatever it might be. So I definitely do think like the tides are changing a little bit and it's becoming better. I can't say I've been to any races that I think are particularly well catered to female sanitary needs, but that might just be I'm going low budget companies. Um, but yeah, no, I mean there obviously are challenges, but I think I've personally been quite lucky, and I think I've always found it quite motivating when I feel like women aren't being represented in sport. I kind of see it as like my duty to representation. But yeah, I do think there's been an uplift, and I really thought it after the Olympics. I don't really know how any of you took that, but I felt like the female representation during the Olympics was so much more noticeable than 4 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
can't comment. I don't watch the Olympics that much, if I'm being honest. So I'm not just because I'm too busy. I never catch it, but yeah, I can't comment on it. But I mean, I think what you've said is that I think people are starting to explore it more now. Like people are starting to really. Isn't it crazy though? I always think like this. Like me and you, Nate, that we never have to think about these things. We're so lucky in that sense that we don't have to worry about being all right. If you post a picture, maybe of a progress picture, you might get judged, but we don't have to worry about all those hardships that women have to go through just to do a sport that they fucking want to do. Sorry, but it does. It rolls me up. It's crazy when you think about it like that. And I'm in my short time of doing ultras, I've seen a massive uplift in a lot of the races I've done with women, and the finishers and the on the starting line, and it's amazing. And I've also seen a change in the checkpoints and facilities available to them, like you said, Frankie, which is great. I think people are starting to, which is bonkers, why they only just starting to open their minds to that, like this, and just yeah, stop being dickheads about it. It just blows
Yeah.
my mind.
One thing that you said there about kind of the hardships, it just made me think about the things that, like you say, men don't have to think about. It's just things like now it's starting to get darker. Like I never really used to be that bothered about running in the dark. Like I'd obviously stick to roads and I'd have my phone on me and I'd have lights on and stuff. But I feel like kind of in the last few years, and I don't know whether that's because there's been more awful things that have happened to females whilst running alone and things like that. But I definitely notice like I'm a little bit more kind of on edge, and I'll avoid it where I can. But at the same time, I'm like quite like stubborn. Like I'm not going to like let that stop me going out. But obviously, you do have to kind of weigh it up and be sensible as much as you can. But it's such a shame that you have to think about that. Like, oh, I can't do that certain route, or I can't go out at that time, and whatever it is because I'm alone and there's a risk that something might happen.
Yeah,
Mm,
I'm definitely exactly the same as you, Frankie. Like it annoys me that it's an issue, so then I kind of like get a bit gung ho about it and be like, I'll be fine. But
mm,
yeah, I think even like obviously the nights are an obvious problem, but even kind of doing trails by myself, like I will make
Yeah.
sure that people know I'm out and have my location. And if you don't hear from me within an hour, like something's gone wrong kind of situation. And that, I mean, never stops me, but it is frustrating when I think
Mm.
about it. And obviously that's in part in case I fall as well or whatever it might be. But it is
mm,
in the back of your mind when you're in like a really remote trail, like by a forest or whatever it might be, that someone's gonna come and like jump out.
Yeah, even in the day,
mm,
like there's been times where I've had headphones on, like listening to music, and I'll see like a man coming towards me, and I'll pretend I'm talking on the phone to someone because I just like it's like an instinct. And afterwards, I'm like, oh, I feel really stupid, but I'm like, I just can't help that I felt a little bit like,
Yeah.
but I don't think, that most of the people that come past me are going to do anything, but I think it's just that because you're aware that it has happened,
mm.
in broad daylight, that you definitely are a little bit aware, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
You got that
Yeah,
diligence. Diligence?
yeah, we spoke about that with Jen and Sophie. Actually, I don't know if you'll have a chance to go back and listen to one of the earlier episodes with them both, and it was really good, but also really frustrating. And we spoke exactly about what you guys just said about how your entire training program or like session that you've got planned has to be adapted because of that. Like, for example, where you can't just put on a head torch and just nip out and go for a little run because you have to think, oh, what if, and like you said, make sure you've got a live tracker set up so that when you hit start, it immediately sends an email or a WhatsApp to one of your buddies and stuff like that. And the thing is, it's horrible because that can prevent people from doing the thing they love. And actually, well, even worse than that, stop them from ever doing it again. Like there's been people I read into a horrifying episode of Runner's World podcast I listened to where they had some people on there and people who've done a lot of research onto it, and the amount of women who have just stopped running and have said, I'll never do it again because I'm too fearful because of this, and they've been, they're passionate about it, and that passion has been taken because they're just too scared because of the area they run in and the amount of attacks that have happened. And all right, yeah, you can go running with a mate and stuff like that, but that's not always feasible. Do you know what I mean? It's not everyone is going to have the same kind of routine and plan. So I guess that's why CrossFit and stuff is also great, because you're in a community and you're always going to be together and stuff. And if you fuck with a CrossFitter, you're an idiot anyway because you're all strong as oxes. So, but I mean, it just shouldn't be an option. It shouldn't be something that you, should have to consider. It makes me sad, and I've said this time and time again. I'm actually really grateful that my wife hates running, because like I used to really want her to run so that we could go on runs together. But actually now I'm glad that she doesn't, because if she was like me and she was going out early in the morning or late at night, I'd be terrified all the time. And you shouldn't have to. I'd be like, well, I don't know. I mean, do you want me to come with you? Like I get someone to come over like after the boy and I'll come out with you. And I don't know, it just removes the fun. The fun is taken out of it, which is shit. It shouldn't be that way. Yeah.
I think the other thing that's really sad about it is it stops females from getting into running altogether. Or they might, have picked it up over the summer and then stopped as soon as it gets dark in the evenings because they can't get in around work. And then, people are never going to want to get to kind of the more longer distance endurance style because they're kind of picking up running as and when the weather and the time or the daylight allows, which is, again, quite sad in terms of getting women into sport.
It is. It's awful, and I will talk about it until I'm blue in the face, because word of mouth is such a strong thing, and the more people that talk about it, I mean, you look at She Runs and all these amazing people who have literally challenged huge event organisers like the London Marathon and been like, it's bang out of order. You can't, not allow a woman to defer a position if she's pregnant. You can't do that. It's not fair. And these rules are slowly, unfortunately, but slow progress is better than no progress, as I would say. They're slowly changing, and that's good. But it's just a pity that it's ever been like that in the first place, really. But yeah, but sorry, I know it's a dark topic to discuss, but it's a topic worthy of being discussed, if that makes sense. So thank you very much for being open about that as well. And maybe we can move on to something more lighthearted, Nathan. Maybe I'll do. I'm conscious that it's also getting late, ladies, so I am sorry for keeping you. But unless you've got anything else, Nate, we can try and end on like a bit of a fun, quick fire thing and put them on the spot.
Yeah. So you're both going down to Pembroke on the Monday night, is it? Ready for start on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Monday in the day.
What time are you starting on the Tuesday? Is it early, like 7 o'clock early?
I think it's 7:30 or 8. Top of my head.
What time do you plan on getting up every day? Bearing in mind every day you probably need a rub down as well.
Probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours before. Time to eat, get myself sorted, hype myself up.
Yeah, wait for Dan to put the tunes on, get everyone going.
Are you guys eating before running? Are you do you fast when you do runs, or do you tend to shovel down food? Are you okay? What's your system there?
Yeah, I always have to eat. Do you, Liv?
Yeah,
eat as much as you can, yeah.
That's my only skill when it comes to running.
And the good thing is about this is that because we're doing loops, we're never going to be that far away from the base, so we can have everything lined up, ready to go. We can bring as much food as we like, and then just see what we fancy after each loop.
Yeah, well, I found this. So when you got to the furthest point away from base on each route, then you take a gel and then you'd eat and you'd be okay by the time you come back, and then you eat the base, and that worked really well.
Yeah. Don't forget the chippies on the route, mind. There's chippies on the route if you can do that.
Yeah, in Porth Gain. So yeah.
Nice pub.
There you go.
Someone stopped actually on the day 4 for fish and chips. I thought they were having a laugh, yeah.
No, when did you do it, Nathan?
last year. Yeah, I did last year. There's a nice pizza place in St David's and a nice pub up in Porthcawl.
Okay, good to know
Yeah,
where the places we're going to be going afterwards.
yeah, but yeah, I wish I was doing it again because I fucking loved it. It's changed the way I look at running, changed a lot of my life, I suppose, in terms of like the opportunities that come after. During the whole thing, just as you're running, don't go hell for leather because you've got 5 days and it's not a race. And literally, just take 5 minutes to take in where you are because it's stunning, absolutely stunning.
I think that what you said there about like you kind of learn so much as well. I think these and it changes you because they do like these kind of events like it's such a emotional and like it's a roller coaster really, isn't it? You go through all the different emotions and you're doing it with people who are all going through the same thing, and that's what I love about like kind of testing myself like physically and mentally, but you know what you learn about yourself along the way and kind of how you then grow afterwards.
I think
Yeah,
obviously as a wellness coach as well, Frankie, is something as important as everyone talks about the lead up, your training and the event. But it's the blues afterwards that are also very difficult. And that's something to consider.
So difficult.
Make sure you take a couple of days off work or a day off work, or don't dive straight into your normal routine again. Make sure you're around friends or loved ones or something, because you will, like, after 5 days of being in such a positive bubble of seeing this beautiful part of the world running in an incredible community, you will. A lot of people dive bomb and they get the blues, and it's quite hard. So yeah, make sure you surround
It
yourself with the
is.
right people and have a plan, really.
I think it also takes some time to actually like digest what you've done. I know that I did last year when I did Tanzania. It was like a couple of weeks, and I was like really had to, like you say, because you just go back to normal life. Like a couple of days later, I was, in a busy tube station, and I was like, I've just been in like a really remote part of Tanzania with like no phone service. These people live so simply, and it was just so nice to see, and just like a million miles away. And then you come back, and everything's so busy and all technology and everything, and then you like you say, you just kind of dive straight in, and then you actually like sit back and like, wow, like what just happened? Like, what did I do? And I think it's important to reflect on that. And like you say, take some time because it is a real ordeal.
it was quite nice last year because in the group afterwards, everyone was saying about how like low they are. And within like 10 minutes, everyone was like, "Oh, do you want me to give you a ring? Do you want me to give you a ring?" Everyone was just ringing everyone just for chats. But yeah, for the whole week after,
Nice.
everyone was just blubbering in the chat because everyone was so down. I think on the last day, I sat on a rock watching the sunset, crying my eyes out. I was just exhausted. I was emotional. I was like pleased. I was just knackered. But yeah, look through my Instagram, like you'll see it. It's funny as hell when I look at it now.
I mean, on
it's
the
weird
flip
because
side of
you're
it,
like,
go on, sorry.
so I was gonna say, yeah, it's weird because it's like it doesn't sound like a nice experience, but like you almost like you want that because you want to. I think it's nice that you feel those emotions. It's nice to have like the ups, but also those downs because it's a like a really big thing that you do, and like having like those kind of emotions like just kind of make the experience. Even though someone's like, why would you want to put yourself through that? You're running hours a day, or like putting your body through this, and then you're like just crying about it. But actually, like it's all part of it.
You know what? That's what I was going to say. On the flip side of it, it might be that you both absolutely despise it and vow to never do it again. And by day 5, it's the happiest thing, and you're the happiest person in the world because you're glad it's over. People work in different ways. I'm sure there'll be a few people that just can't wait for that to be over. But yeah, you'll soon miss it. And I've said it before as well. Like, I think it's quite sad. It makes me a little bit sad. It's not for everyone, and this isn't me saying everyone should go out and run 250 kilometers or an ultra or anything, but it makes me quite sad that people will live their whole lives and not push themselves to such an extent that they don't have those emotions, that they don't feel that pain, because it hurts. Yeah, it hurts like hell. But that's because you're moving and you're pushing your body to the limit, and your body's going, what's happening here? And then, like you said, by day 4, your body's like, cool, that's what we're doing then. Go again tomorrow. And it makes me a little bit sad that there's a lot of people who live their entire lives just kind of frowning at that and will never push themselves, will never
Yeah,
like
I
see their
totally
true.
agree. So many
Yeah,
people say to me, like, why? Like, why would you want to do that? And my answer is always like, why not? Like, why wouldn't you want
exactly.
to do that? Like, you know,
Yeah,
I always
and
get
it
told I'm not well. That's always the response. Like, what?
but it can't be that bad because most of the time you always do it again. Even if you say you don't want to do these things after you've done them, you're like, oh no, I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
But then before long, it's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah. I'll have a day for sure where I'm like, I'm never doing this ever again. Or it will be as dramatic as I'm never running ever again.
Yeah,
And
as
then
you're scrolling, looking at events.
yeah, by the end of the week I would have booked the next thing.
yeah. It's whenever anybody says to me, like when I did the 100, they were like, "Are you? How long were you moving for? And you didn't sleep? Are you all there? Like, what's wrong with you?" And I'd go, "Come here," and I just open up the photos and show them the people I met and the smiles and the people on the checkpoints and the volunteers and the beautiful views and the running through the night and seeing the sun come up. And like, I was like, "You're never." You it makes me sad, like I said, that you're never going to experience that. You don't want to. Like my dad is the perfect example. I love my dad to death, but he's just like, why?
My dad's
Why?
exactly the same.
Yeah, he thinks I'm an
Supportive,
idiot.
but just
Yeah, he
doesn't
thinks
get it.
yeah. My dad pleads with me. My dad actually says, "Please, boy, don't do that. Oh, it makes me awful worried." And I'm like, "No, like I'm not you. I want to see how far I can push my body." And I'll just show people like pictures of the most amazing things because I've said, oh, time and time again in the last what few years of starting ultra running and getting out on the trails, I've seen more of the Welsh countryside than I have in my 39 years of life. Like in probably in a year since I started doing rackies of the 100-mile route, I've seen and explored more of Wales than I ever had in my 39 years of life. And it makes me sad that it's taken me that long. So when my boy gets old enough, I'm going to be saying to him, get out there. Like there are beautiful parts in the world, but explore your own country. It's England. There's all these amazing places you can go to and explore. Like it's yeah, just show them that and tell them that. But you'll always have
Just
those
don't go
people
to
who
Newport.
just, no, hang about, no, hang about. I'm from Newport. You watch what you're saying. You watch what you're saying. There's great places in Newport that you can run.
Sure.
Yeah, out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was
You're
waiting.
fighting
I
a
was going to
losing
say it.
battle with that one.
Yeah, yeah. But me, you run a lot quicker in Newport. Let me tell you, because there's usually somebody chasing you. But no, thank you so much, guys. It's been really, really lovely to catch up with you both. I'm glad that you both got to meet now. You've already made one extra friend now. So when you start in 10 days, but we're both extremely jealous and I cannot wait to see how you get on and all the pictures and the videos. And perhaps in a couple of months, we can have another catch up and have a very different chat about how it went and see how you felt and what you'd change and everything. But
Yeah, would love to. Yeah, it's maybe having this chat now is maybe like really excited
Yeah.
to get going
good.
and just need to get the list of stuff, like you said, sorted. Most importantly, food shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Definitely some excitement.
Cool. Well, I want to do a quick fire thing with you both. I'll ask you each a question. I know I like doing this because it's stupid and light-hearted and it's a nice way to end. Um, Tell me to piss off if you want, but whatever. Um, so, Liv, would you rather run a marathon in 40 degrees heat or in a snowstorm?
Ooh, probably a snowstorm.
Snowstorm? I mean, feel free to answer as well, Frank, if you want. If you like the question.
Oh God, neither, but I'd go with 40-degree heat, I think if I had to.
40 degrees heat, fair
I'm
enough.
not very good and I'm a very cold person.
We're the opposite, yeah.
Fair enough. What's your go-to pump up song or playlist that you listen to on your run? Any one of you?
Pump up song would probably be anything Sugar Babes, and I don't know why because I never listened to it outside of running, but for some reason I've created that association over the years. Push the button
Wow.
specifically, Sugar Babes. Like just get you going.
Okay. Frankie?
Oh God, I listen to anything, but I love Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Oh, yes.
It's also
Yes.
my go-to karaoke song, so I think I've got a nice connection with it.
Right.
Is there a
Yeah.
playlist this year?
Say again.
Right.
Have they put a playlist together for It's Why We Run?
There's been rumors
Oh,
of it, but I've not seen it.
We
it's
It's
had it
from
from
what
last
I've
year.
seen, but I look forward to seeing that. I think music like makes you. It's a good motivator, isn't it?
Some of the
Yeah.
tunes last year were really questionable.
What did they have?
I can't remember, but I was running and I think it was Aqua and Barbie Girls. Like, what the
Oh
hell?
I
no.
know that's exactly what gets me through those dark moments.
Yeah.
I need that questionable music.
Hmm.
I think that pushed me over the edge. I think I'd just jump off the edge of the water if that came on. Like that's too much. Like then again, what I listen to, you probably wouldn't agree with. That's one of Nathan's questionable things. But yeah, that's
But you like those like high energy songs, but also I'm partial to a ballad. Sometimes when you're in your feels and you have like a strong song on, I'm down for
yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a metal guy. I like proper screamy metal as well as like Metallica, but then I'll listen to anything else. And I'm a huge country music fan. So sometimes my playlist will be on shuffle and I'll have like, Metallica or Slaughter to Prevail. Like, the clues in the title, they're not a light band, they're very heavy. And then I'll have, I don't know, like Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey will come on. It doesn't quite hit. It's one of
Brilliant.
my favorite songs in the world, but it doesn't quite hit. It depends what mood
You
you're in.
need different songs for different moods and different parts
Yeah.
of the run, for sure.
Yeah.
All I listened
Yeah.
to last year was Stereophonics on the run.
Yeah.
Ask anyone, that's all I listened to.
Really?
Yeah.
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 And
It's, it's
it was some of the songs was just perfect for where you were and everything.
just
Yeah.
it gets really funny when you're a parent though, doesn't it? Because I usually I'll shuffle all the like songs and it'll go from like I said Eminem or something to Wheels on the Bus, and I'm like on a real steep hill. It happened to me the other day. I was doing hill reps by me, and I was on the way. I was listening to an old school band called The Movie Life. Don't know if you guys ever heard of them. Proper old school pop punk band. And then as I was coming down the descent, the
Baby
theme tune
Shark.
to no, my boy's favorite current TV show, Topsy and Tim, came on, and I was like, I don't need this right now. I need blaring music to get me up this hill rep again. But definitely made me smile, and I couldn't press stop because it was my wife playing it in the car with my boy. So yeah, would have scared the hell out of him. Okay, I'll think of a couple of other ones. What's your go-to shoe brand?
I've become fully a Brooks person.
Okay,
Yeah, both road and trail. I'm now
gasp. Okay, what about you,
Oh,
Frankie?
I've got a couple. I did use Brooks for the Tanzania Ultra, but I've got some Sauconys for this one. But I probably one that I've used for a while. On.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I've recently started like a second job working in a local running shop, and it's like I'm like a kid on Christmas morning as I get to try all the new models and
Mm.
everything. And I tried on for the first time the other day, and I did try a pair of Brooks, and I really liked them, but I just can't cheat on Hoka. I can't. They're just
It's one I
they're
haven't
my
tried
babies.
yet, but I keep hearing really good things about them. So maybe it's time.
so badly. They're my least favorite trainer I've ever had is a Hoka. I know I'm like the anomaly in that because everyone always loves them, but no, not
No, I
me.
mean you're not the anomaly. I've got a few friends who again, it all comes down to what suits you, doesn't it? Like a few friends saw me wearing them and just went and bought a pair, and I was like, "Well, do you know, like, have you had a gait analysis? Do they suit your feet, or are you buying them because you've seen me wear them?" And then they hated them. So, yeah, yeah, no,
I'll give
okay,
them the benefit of the doubt because I ordered them during COVID where you couldn't, go into a store. So maybe I just got the wrong model and that was where I went wrong.
Mm.
But yeah.
So individual though. You can't really go by anyone else, can you?
No.
no, true. And then one last thing, most embarrassing running or training story, like ever crapped your pants, ever peed yourself, ever passed out, anything.
Um, I've fallen over a couple of times, which is always a bit embarrassing. I've actually never had any stomach issues until about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
And I was on a group run. So that was fun.
oh no,
And then
oh no.
then and I'd ran there and I was running back. So yeah, had to find a couple nearby places to yeah. So anyway, I'll
Do
leave
your
it there.
business. Yeah, well, I was going to
That was
say,
a
if when you said you've never had any stomach issues, I was like, you fully just jinxed yourself for why we run. Like, you should not have said that.
yeah.
What,
God.
what, what about yourself, living in the middle of a clean and jerk, and I know something's happened. Something.
So far, so good. I've had 2 runs where I've had to get picked up from though because it was going to be a close call situation.
Okay.
So I know the nerves of being in that scenario, but
Mhm.
luckily I've had people who can come and get me within about 10 minutes, so it's been fine. But no, I did fall down like coming down Pen y Fan once when I was running, and obviously everyone else was walking, so I looked like a dick anyway because I was the only runner. And then I fell and I looked even more friggin' stupid. So that was like that hurt my soul a bit, not gonna lie.
Oh, there was one thing I just remembered, which I guess is kind of stomach related, but I was on like a 20 mile it was a road running event and it was in preparation for marathon training. And so I was like testing out gels and stuff. And they're gels that I've used and I still use now, but for some reason something wasn't agreeing with me. So I had about probably 200 meters from the finish line, had to stop and I was throwing up orange gels, like it was just gel coming out.
That close
Um,
to the finish line as well. So I
yeah, that
bet
was
there's
so
some
close.
brilliant
Yeah.
photos of you as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't a fun one either.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's been there though. I had that with one of the London marathons that I did. Like I was using the same gels for like 4 years, and that one morning I was just sick constantly from these gels, and I haven't touched a gel since because I'm so scarred from it.
Yeah, I think it's got to be everyone's fear, and I mean, you can get over the aches and the pains and what have you, but when you need the toilet, it's the worst feeling. And when you're caught short, like I was going to ask what the one piece of your essential kit, whatever run or training session you go and you always have on you, and mine will always be toilet paper, always.
Maybe
Like
that's something
without,
I need to take on board
I
now.
yeah,
never do
without a shadow of a doubt.
that.
Sorry, Liv, what was that?
I never do that. I'm clearly living a risky life.
Oh, that is risky. Like for me, like that's got I got IBS. That's got bad written all over it for me. Like I need if I
Yeah,
need to
fair
go, I
enough.
need to go. Anyway, let's not go down the rabbit hole of food talk. It's too late in the evening for that. But no, thank you so much again, ladies, for coming on. Absolute pleasure to see you again, Liv, and obviously meet you as well, Frankie. And just all the best for why we run 3.0. And again, we're both super jealous. Smash it. I know you're going to crush it. Enjoy every single second, all the pain and the suffering and the enjoyment. And we'll catch up with you when you've both completed it, which I'm absolutely certain you will.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I'm planning on coming down on the Friday night for the last day anyway, so I'll
Oh,
see you
cool.
then.
Amazing.
But thank you for
Nice.
jumping on. It was last minute, but thanks for stepping up,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having us.
It's been great. Have a lovely evening. See you guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Did you hear about the guy who lost his shoes on Saturday?
I know him, Bradley Price. He's the
Yeah, I was going to
ex-boxer.
say it's Brad. Yeah,
What
four
happened to him?
miles in, it was that boggy. It was up to people's knees, and it was so like sucky. He had his shoes off, and he could not find them. He stood there looking for them, hands buried in its mud. He could not find them. So he
Yeah,
ran to the next checkpoint with just his socks on.
yeah,
Another
mate.
4 miles. That's just
He's,
insane.
he's a legend, mate. I ran most of the Vogan with him last year, mate. Bradley is a top guy. Fair play to him. And I did message him saying, "What happened?" Because he posted a video of him in his socks, and yeah.
Yeah, mental. But so many characters came out on Saturday. You had Dan from Plod TV who turned up drinking bloody Bucks Fizz.
Yeah, in his pink jackets with a couple of his mates, wasn't it? And
Yeah, he
yeah,
was drinking all the way around.
brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant.
met Andrew.
Oh, you met him finally? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, met Andrew. Avoided all the puddles.
Oh, actually, I did hear you say in one of your videos. I can't believe you avoided that.
Yeah, some of the puddles are huge, really
Yeah. Did
deep.
you see Joe, was it, who took his top off and went swimming in it?
Yeah,
Joe or Josh? Josh,
yeah,
Joe,
Joe on it.
Joe, I
Joe,
think
I
it
think
was.
Dan
Yeah,
said, yeah. So yeah,
legend.
it was just a wicked day. I could have stayed there all day.
That's it. Thanks ever so much, guys, for everyone who listened. Really hope we enjoyed it. Me and Nate definitely did. As always, thank you so much to anyone who has tuned in and listened to previous episodes and subscribed. And just, please keep doing that. We couldn't do it without your support. It's a great community, and just thank you. You're all really, really awesome. And let's keep moving this forward and making even better episodes. We got some great guests coming up. So keep tuning in, keep tuning up, and thanks ever so much for listening. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.